Hello guys! Welcome back to Rogue Robot Reviews. Today, we'll be talking about a character I've hinted at doing for a while now, as far back as February. I hope you're ready, because it's time for the small purple robot.
Error, okay. Alright then. Guess I can't go that way for some What the hell?! Purple guy!
This will be a fun one. Let's not waste any more time and get started. First, we'll go over his design. He has a small body coated in light gray, almost beige paint. He has a pair of blue eyes on a square-shaped vision screen, which is located on the left side of his body. On the right side are a pair of dark purple stripes wrapping vertically around him. The lower area of his body juts forward a bit, which is where his code is stamped on, and underneath that is the base for his arms, which looks exactly like the ones on many other robots. This can swivel back and forth, and holds onto the two branching arm pieces. These arm pieces can also extend downward too, before splitting apart. This leads to two sets of black hydraulics that can stretch outward, as seen here. These attach to an elbow piece, which also extend but in the other direction. Following are a set of joint pieces that hold those iconic canisters. Now this guy isn't the only robot to go around handling these things. There's actually plenty of others, but he's always been my favorite. They make him very bottom heavy too, and also quite strong, since he can lug the things around with such scrawny little arms. I can imagine them making for good weapons as well, smashing through obstacles with ease. The canisters are shaped like long cylinders and have a sort of lavender color, a bit like Funko's Mystery Mini of Helpy. There is some extra metal wrapping around them, a lighter circle on the ends, and these tiny pieces on the bottom. As for what real purpose these canisters have, I'm not too sure. It's never been confirmed. Do they carry water? Fuel? Potentially. They don't seem to have any openings though. Unless those are the openings? Who really knows? They also kinda remind me of the Scream cans from Monsters, Inc. The canisters also don't appear to be detachable, and if they are, I don't think he has any actual claws, unlike FMAD. He also has a light gray case on his back, probably used for extra circuits and such, and his red boot is connected from his face to his left elbow. Overall, this guy has a very nice design. It's simple, sure, but it's all that it needed to be. A little robot carrying big cylinders around, and I like the color scheme too. About his name though, Pixar's never actually told us what it is, to my knowledge. So with that in mind, you'd think I'd do the next best thing and call him by the code labeled on his body, but in every picture available, I cannot decipher what it says. Every image is just too blurry. Although, it's probably just the same one the blue grabber robot has. I sometimes nickname him Dumbbells, but that's not very professional. So I'll just refer to him by what he actually is. I'll admit the name Small Purple Robot is pretty clunky, but at least it's accurate. Now, where was he in the film? His model is seen semi-frequently throughout the hallways, sometimes without any eyes weirdly enough. Probably his most famous appearance is in the crash Wall-E caused early on. This is the robot that ends up getting flung into the bin area of the bin robot. Pretty funny. Perhaps that was the same unit we see later on, since the accident could have caused him some damage. But that's just a theory.
A game theory!
And with that said, let's move on to our rogue buddy. His first appearance, like most, is in the opening shot. He's obstructed by the wall here, but you can identify his canisters poking out. He's located on the left side of the room, in the second closest area to the entrance. He sits right next to the tall curve-headed robot, along with FMAD and the small red robot. His malfunction/gimmick is that he struggles to lift his arms up and quickly drops them back down. His movements are very reminiscent to that of the crossbody curl, a bicep workout people perform with dumbbells. In typical fashion, he can very briefly be seen in the panning shot of Wall-E getting moved, exercising as always. And once Wall-E starts looking around, we get our first good look at him. This right here is essentially his money shot, the moment where he gets to shine.
Yeah, finally it's my chance to shine!
Such a shame he's overshadowed by the fun antics of these two, and his workout is on full display. Gotta get them gains, boy. He's seen later tilting forward and looking down at the hallway at Wally, very surprised by the music. And while it may be hard to tell, he is in fact seen in the far distance from the diagnostics room. In the panning shot of Eve's blast, he can very briefly be seen extending and lifting both of his arms up, cheering, something that you can see quite clearly here, but we'll get to that. Now the next two shots are weird, because even though we can't see him, we know he's there, just barely off screen, since the pen walls are lit up. But in the following shot, there aren't any walls in sight, and if that wasn't strange enough, he shows up again directly after, looking around as the walls shut down. But that's nothing compared to what comes next. When all the robots leap from their spots, he's now on the other side of the room, between the picker robot and 4341. Even as a kid I noticed this. He's not the only misplaced bot either. His tall companion got the same treatment. Kinda funny how I covered both of these guys in the same year. While there isn't any in-universe explanation for this, I might know why this happened. With how everyone escaped their pens, the animators wanted to get as many robots into the shot as possible, and to do so, they plucked a few from across the room and placed them there. But then that begs the question, why didn't they just make this into a wide shot of the hallway to show everyone escape at once? Whatever. Here we see him lift his body up and out of his spot, cheering with the others. As for where he is in these huge crowd shots, I don't know. There's way too many moving parts to make out where he is, but we don't have time to worry about that, as we then see him darting out the repair ward doors after. Now there are several more errors made here. Bear with me here, as this is a bit hard to explain. Firstly, 4867 just clips right through his body. That one is easy to see, but next, if you look closely, he gets replaced by the purple one-eyed robot for a few frames. You can tell by looking at the stripes. And this aligns with the final error, because soon after, we see him actually passing the screen again, giving the illusion that he left the repair ward twice. So many mistakes in such a short amount of time, and I found them all on my own. That speaks volumes about my observation skills, doesn't it?
Stings, doesn't it?
When the robots turn the hallway corner out in the open, our little friend is located in the center of the crowd, clapping his canisters together before getting enveloped by everyone around him. Now once the group stops, he starts peeking out a bit over the head of 4867. For the longest time, I didn't even notice that he was there. But after this, he disappears and is then seen later when Eve catches up with the group, though very subtly, as well as in the mugshot, and then behind Eve when she gets flustered. As you can easily tell, now he's at the top of the group, next to Brella, and behind the ringed robot and Hands. Now, I actually do have an explanation for this. It's pretty straightforward, really. This little dude couldn't see much from his previous spot, right? So he simply moved upwards to get a better view. Makes enough sense. But what doesn't make sense is that he changes position again. Once the Stewards fired their lasers, he's now located on the far end of the herd, hiding behind Vacuum and 75. Ugh. However, after this comes one of his best moments. He lifts up above the guards, behind a yellow soda look-alike, swinging his arms around in the air, doing a loop-de-loop, and then leaving the area by turning to the left. Such a fun way to go out. And those are all his scenes. Now it's time for the supplementary material. He's showcased in the lineup of robots in the Captaining the Axiom video, as well as the B&L Fleet of Bots video, though very blurry. In these clips he resides next to the shaking one-eyed robot, but we'll get to him sometime soon. Very, very soon. He's also visible on that big chart I found. Now comes the most exciting part. The Build-A-Bot game. First off, he was featured on the right side of the menu screen, in the exact spot he's supposed to be, and while lifting his arms up cheering, like in that one shot. I love this continuity so much. So many times when we see the robots in additional material, it's just the model, and not the actual rogue variant. But nope, we get a clear look at our man right here, and of course, he's playable. You can alter and customize his body, and if you choose his arms as a base for your robot, you can play a mini-game called Bumper Bots. According to the description, you use these arms to bump these large barrels over, I told you those canisters would be useful for something. This is just awesome. Personally, I would have loved to play this game. It probably wasn't the most complex or polished gaming experience of all time or anything, but the novelty of getting to play as these characters, it makes me so giddy. This game is also where this PNG originated from. I found it on the Wally Wiki, which appropriately labeled him as Bumperbot, but unfortunately, his character page is just gone, along with several others. Yeah, it plain sucks. Not a clue as to why they're no longer present. Anyway, a simplified version of him is seen in the Lots of Bots book, and in the comics. And last but not least, he was featured in that behind-the-scenes shot. And while very hard to make out, he wears a fully white paint job here. Honestly, this dude was pretty lucky to be in this much secondary content. And that was the small purple robot. I'm utterly surprised by just how much I had to say about him. He's probably among the more filler robots of the roster, and he's really brought down by the constant continuity errors. The poor dude just can't stay in one place for more than 3 seconds. But he's a fun and unique guy nonetheless. Happy to add him to my list of covered robots. And hopefully we'll get to see more of him in the future. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.